trapped by dark waters. There is no escape, nor do we want it. We've come to thrive on it, and each other. You can't get the adrenaline pumping without the terror, good people.
So it has finally happened. I have released a Friday the 13th video on Friday the 13th, and they all said it couldn't be done. Actually, no one said that. It was like the easiest thing to ever do. I just had to know that Friday the 13th was coming up. And so today we're doing Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. The majority of the shots of New York that we see are in the opening credits sequence, and it just shows people being mugged, people doing drugs, and just like a very lingering shot of a rat swimming around in festering liquid garbage. The city of New York was like, we'll allow it. You got our good side. So after the delightful establishing shots of Manhattan, we then see two teens who are having sex on a boat that is anchored in the middle of Crystal Lake. So like, did everyone just forget all about the fact that they changed the name to Forest Green? And before they do the deed, Jimmy decides to be the first person ever to acknowledge the 4 dozen or so murders that happened at this lake. But his girlfriend Susie has no idea what he's talking about. So Jimmy begins to tell the story of Jason Voorhees, starting with his drowning death on Crystal Lake. And like, does young Jason have hair just because this is Jimmy's version and he heard that Jason had hair? Because it's really weirding me out. And as the boat drifts, the anchor catches on a power cable and the electric shock brings Jason back to life. Jimmy plays a prank on Susie and pretends to be Jason. And Jimmy and Susie begin to have sex when Jason climbs on board and puts on the mask, which, as luck would have it, is an exact replica of his previous mask, even down to the axe mark from the 3rd movie. And Jason kills both of them with a harpoon. The next day, the senior class from Lakeview High is preparing to take a boat trip to New York for their graduation trip. And they're setting off aboard the... oh my god. The Lazarus? Really? Come on, guys. Among the students is quiet, withdrawn Rennie Wickham, who's talking with her English teacher, Miss Van Dusen, who gives her a graduation gift.
Stephen King supposedly used it in high school.
Oh, and I'm being told that we have a recording of Stephen King using the pen? How the hell does that work?
This is Stephen King recording from my parents' house here in Maine, beginning work on my first novel. I have the Monster Mash playing in the background for inspiration, and I'm using my favorite pen that bitch Margie Van Dusen has been trying to get her hands on. I'll die before I'll let her get it. Okay, so here goes. The Spookening by Stephen King, Chapter 1. It was a dark and stormy night. Oh my god. I've got chills already. Alice was walking home from a friend's house, and she took a shortcut through a graveyard. Oh my, that's so scary. When suddenly, from behind a scary tombstone, there appeared a ghost. It was such a spooky ghost, just the spookiest ghost you ever did see. And just then a vampire showed up, just the spookiest vampire you ever did see. The vampire's name was Derek, and he loved to drink blood. Oh man. Now I'm picturing this ghost and Derek the vampire, and I'm just getting too freaked out. That's enough writing for tonight. Alright, so this has been high schooler Stephen King writing the opening paragraph of The Spookening.
Also chaperoning this trip is Rennie's uncle Charles McCulloch. He wears a suit and a sweater vest for a party cruise, so that should tell you everything you need to know about him. The captain of the Lazarus is Admiral Robertson, and his son Sean is also going on this trip, and the Admiral wants Sean to follow in his footsteps.
Relinquishing command of the motor vessel Lazarus to Captain Sean Robertson.
If I was on this boat, I would be more than a little concerned to find out the captain just gave up control of the ship to the kid who sat next to me in biology.
Before you take the helm, take this.
It's a box of my toenail clippings. It's an old sailor's tradition.
How about we start up the engines and come around 180 degrees?
You forgetting something, mister?
You have to blast the Tudor first. Maybe this is why you don't let your children command ships. And before they set off, Jason climbs up the ship.
This voyage is doomed.
Oh, hey, and we just get a complete ripoff of Crazy Ralph from the first two. Like, that's it. That's his whole character. He just repeats word for word everything that Crazy Ralph said. And like a lot of people in this movie, he doesn't even have a name. So the senior trip is setting out on a boat from Crystal Lake, which has been pretty well established to be a landlocked lake in New Jersey, and they're gonna make their way to New York City. Jason's first victim is the rocker JJ, who goes down to the hold of the ship to rock out to just the most generic 80s rock possible. Oh,
What is this? This is just noise. You know what would be good to play? Jason's mother was a big fan of the Fontaine Sisters. Do you know the song Hearts of Stone?
Or how about Asmodee's favorite song, the visceral wail of the succubi as they steal the essence from 1,000 screaming virgins?
Yeah, Jason already mentioned the Fontaine Sisters.
Did that tiny version of you just call her mommy?
What the? No? Jason doesn't know who that kid is, or why he's pretending to be me. And you know, identity theft is no laughing matter. Jason is still trying to clean up his credit after that Roy guy opened like 20 credit cards in Jason's name. And like, honestly, I have no idea what is going on with Rennie's visions. Like, it's not just in her head, because the dog saw it too and freaked out. And also, young Jason didn't have hair. And like, is this a ghost? Is this a ghost of a child that we're told didn't actually drown? Like, the real Jason Voorhees is an adult on the ship. Why is there a ghost of his child self? This is like a bad Stephen King story from high school. Tamara's pressuring her friend Ava to do drugs.
It's not that, it's just, if we get caught, I could lose my science scholarship and everything.
You're talking to the prom queen, Eva.
Now, I have nothing but respect for the monarchy, but I don't think even a prom queen is above maritime law. So Tamara and Ava have just finished each doing one drug when they get caught by Mr. McCulloch, and Tamara thinks that Rennie narked on them.
I'll be coming around to your stateroom in exactly 15 minutes, Miss Mason, so you better have your biology project ready or I'll be phoning your parents.
Like, this is a graduation trip. Why does she have homework? Also, if that were my daughter who was on the trip of a lifetime and her teacher called to complain that she didn't have her homework done, I'd be like, so what? She graduated a week ago. I mean, I would hate that my daughter was a coked up monster, but in this scenario, I've turned a blind eye to all that. Things between Tamara and I have been a little shaky ever since her mother and I separated 5 years ago, and I retreated into my work. And a part of me realizes that any failings of Tamara are on me and me alone, but I drink to keep those thoughts from coming to the forefront. And I only pray that one day Tamara finds her way, and that this trip gives her the confidence to be the woman that I know she can be. Just because her mother and I don't love each other anymore doesn't mean we don't love her. And Julius is a champion boxer, and he's boxing unnamed guy in green shirt, and Julius easily knocks him out. And this no-name dude later goes to the sauna after his boxing match when Jason walks in.
Nice fight, Julius. Guess I need to work on my left-right-left combo. Hey, listen, no hard feelings, man, okay? What do you say we track down those babes later? Julius?
Like, even if I'm 100% convinced that my buddy has entered the room, but then they aren't saying a word, it's because they're getting ready to do something horrible to me. This is a high school trip, for crying out loud. Oh my god, Julius, why are you doing this to me? Help! Julius is murdering me! Why, Julius? You were my best friend! Don't do this, Julius, I love you!
You know, Julius is kind of a cool name. Maybe Jason should start going by Julius.
I say go for it. I went by Keith for an entire millennium.
Ooh, Keith is a cool name. So your name was Keith Day?
What? Do you think that my last name is Day? And my first name is Asmo?
Jason did until you said it like that just now. Now Jason's regretting saying anything at all.
Tamara finally gets her revenge and knocks Rennie overboard, and young Jason pulls her under the water. Seriously, I know these movies like to retcon a lot of stuff, but what was the point of giving young Jason a full head of hair? Like, it makes what Tommy did in part 4 look incredibly stupid. I mean, it already was incredibly stupid, but it at least made some kind of sense. Also, this boat is at a complete standstill. No wonder it's taking them so long to get to New York.
Just come back, and you're all gonna die.
Ralph Jr., you're kind of weirding everyone out, bud. Randy goes into the bathroom and has another vision of young Jason. I mean, do we really have another psychic teen situation? And Tamara then seduces Mr. McCulloch while Wayne records it so they can blackmail him.
And as for you, you can forget about attending any film school.
I'm going to call all of the ones you applied to and say no. So the Lazarus made it out of Crystal Lake, and after they portaged over 100 miles on land, they finally made it to the Atlantic Ocean. And Jason then kills the captain and the first mate, and Sean and Rennie find his dad dead, and he calls everyone to the bridge. They try to alert the Coast Guard, but Jason rips out the wires. Also, is a giant boat the most efficient way to get a dozen teens to New York? Like, depending on where they are in New Jersey, it's like a 2-hour drive, and they've stretched it into a 3-day cruise.
Jason has just been wet for like a decade now. You know what? I think Jason wants to go to space. Jason would be dry all the time in space.
Oh, it rains in outer space.
What?
Yeah, it's true. I lived on the moon for a brief time in the 60s.
What's it like up there?
It's a lot like Denver. Also, they say that the moon is big and far away, but that's a lie. It's really small and like right there. You could fly to the moon in a hot air balloon if you wanted to.
Betty Valentine from the upper hall. She sees a bartender in a pool of blood. Cries out, my God, they've killed them all. Here comes the story of the hurricane. The man the authorities came to blame.
And we then get the craziest kill in the whole franchise. I'm just kidding. The kills are garbage in this one. Wayne goes looking for JJ and loses his glasses and accidentally shoots this dude. Seriously, I have no idea who this is. And at the start of this movie, this boat was packed, but during the whole runtime, we only see like 8 people until Jason needs more bodies. It's like on Lost, when the extras were just always quietly milling around in the background, and then randomly one would get killed by the smoke monster, and Kate would be all like, "Oh, I can't believe Jeff is dead." And you're all like, "Who the hell is Jeff?" And then Jason shows up and electrocutes Wayne.
Actually, electrocution describes the act of putting a criminal to death with the electric chair. It's an electric execution. Wayne was merely murdered by electricity.
Was that directed at me? The hell was that all about?
Did you find Rennie?
She's locked safely in her room. No thanks to either of you.
I'm sorry, but it only takes one person to lock a door, McCulloch. God, this dude sucks.
Have you brought it back on course yet?
He's doing the best he can.
He's a son of a captain, for Christ's sakes. You ought to be able to operate this thing.
What the hell kind of logic is that? I don't know how to do my dad's job. And down in the engine room, the fire from Wayne's death is starting to spread.
Excellent. Now we can destroy all of these mortals when the fire consumes the whole boat. What did you do that for?
Jason's terrible in a crisis.
And in her room, Rennie sees another vision of young Jason when old Jason grabs her and she stabs him in the eye with the Stephen King pen. It is an incredibly spooky scene. And then Jason throws Julius overboard. The ship begins taking on water, which, glass half full, means they won't have to worry about the fire anymore. And also, we are an hour into this movie, and Jason has still not taken Manhattan. He hasn't even taken this one boat. So the only survivors are McCulloch, Rennie, Sean, and Miss Van Dusen, and they make their way to a lifeboat, and Julius climbs on board.
I hope you can find shore soon, Captain.
Oh my God, die already, dude. They finally spot the Statue of Liberty and make it to shore.
Wonderful choice of places to dock a boat, Mr. Robertson.
This guy. And they head off to find a payphone, but unfortunately Jason made it to shore right behind him. And since this movie is sponsored by the New York City Board of Tourism, they are immediately mugged.
Give me your money. Everyone shut up and give them the money.
But no one said anything. So they take their money and they take off with Rennie, and McCulloch suggests that they split up. He has been shitting on everyone else's ideas all day, and his first contribution is to split up. The gang members are getting ready to rape Rennie, and they inject drugs into her system when Jason murders them both. Jason catches up to Julius, and Julius begins boxing Jason. Now, it already seems silly to box this hulking behemoth, but it's even sillier to punch him in the face. Wearing a hockey mask. And so Jason rope-a-dopes Julius, and after Julius tires himself out, Jason punches his head clean off. The survivors meet back up, and they meet the most New York cop ever.
You're right. I find it a tall tale indeed, but you seem like honest folks, so I'm inclined to believe at least some of what you say.
Oh, it sure is lucky I happened upon you fine folks, don't you know? Now, I don't know what all this is about, but we'll get it straightened out for you. We'll find this loony scofflaw and we'll haul him before the local magistrate. And you know, I studied criminology at university, so we should have no problem finding— Oh, hey there! Get your stinking mitts off me, you hoser! And that's what happens when you do drugs and drive. It gives you the courage to stop a murderer. So remember, always shoot up before you buckle up. Rennie then thinks she sees young Jason, this time without a full head of hair, and tries to run him over, but instead crashes into a wall, and Miss Van Dusen dies in the explosion. Okay, there are going to be some innocent casualties when you drive high, but you're gonna kill more bad guys in the long run. Rennie then has a drug-induced flashback of when she and her uncle were in a rowboat on Crystal Lake. And McCulloch, we learn, has always been pure shit, and he tells Rennie that if she doesn't learn to swim, then Jason will pull her down to the bottom of the lake, and he pushes her in. And even back then, young Jason pulls her under the water. Like, I have several questions, but I feel that even the people that made this movie aren't equipped to answer them. Rennie confronts McCulloch and she and Sean run off. And Jason wakes up and here we go. Jason grabs McCulloch and then dunks him headfirst into a barrel of toxic waste that is just out in the open. Come visit beautiful New York City. And then Jason chases Sean and Rennie to the subway station. But I don't get why. Like, Jason has no real special attachment to these people. He's just a remorseless killing machine who now has a seemingly unlimited supply of victims. He should be massacring everyone in the subway car. Jason goes after them and they manage to knock him onto the dreaded third rail. I don't even really know what the third rail is, just that so many people in movies and TV shows have been absolutely cooked on it. Like, is it the third one counting from the outside in or inside out? And does it need to murder you as soon as you touch it? Like, what is the point of it? And so after an hour and 25 minutes, we finally get our first actual footage of New York when they emerge from the subway into Times Square. But Jason is right behind them yet again.
Oh my goodness, look at this magical place. All the lights and the people. Makes Jason feel so small. Jason loves this song. Pupper singing Jingle Bells. This place is a wonderland. Boom!
You a dead meat slime bag!
Oh shit, these four dudes are history.
Yo, man, it's cool. It's cool, man. It's cool.
Oh, okay. So actually, this shows a level of awareness that I wouldn't think Jason was capable of. So like, apparently Jason knows that his face looks like mangled ass, and he knows that he is so hideous that he can scare street toughs away. Also, why did he let them run away? Jason doesn't like to be threatened. These four should all have their taints ripped out, Buck Rollins style. And Sean and Rennie then run to a diner, and we get a masterclass in acting like you've received a phone call.
Times Diner, yeah. Yeah, we're up to 3 a.m. like always.
Just pure gibberish. I love it. Like, there was no pause for the person on the other end to even have said anything. Just dynamite. They make their way down to the sewer where a maintenance man tells them that they need to leave because the entire New York City sewer system is flooded by toxic waste every night at midnight. That seems like a bigger threat to Manhattan than an undead monster. Jason kills the worker and he's about to kill Sean when Rennie throws a bucket of toxic waste onto Jason, and Jason begins shrieking like, well, I guess like what I imagine a dragon would shriek like if that dragon was melting from toxic waste. And Rennie and Sean are climbing out of the sewer with Jason right behind them when the 12 o'clock wall of toxic waste comes barreling towards them right on schedule.
Oh my god, this toxic waste smells so bad it's triggering Jason's gag reflex.
So the nightly toxic waste melts Jason away, and when they look back, he's been replaced by the little boy version of Jason with hair again. I don't know what this is supposed to signify. Like, is Jason gonna live his life again as a little child? Or is it all in Rennie's head? Is he a ghost? Are they two separate people? Why is there so much toxic waste in New York City? Like, this is Terry Silver level of toxic waste. Alright, so that was Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Or more accurately, Jason visits Manhattan briefly for about 10 minutes. And I would say this is the dumbest Friday the 13th movie, and it was, until Jason Goes to Hell, which is the perfect example of a movie not living up to the completely badass VHS cover.